Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Every Horror Movie on Netflix, the podcast where we watch, review, and discuss every horror movie on Netflix. I'm Patrick, and I'm here, as always, with my co-host, Allyson with a Y.
Hello.
And as you all know, Allyson with an I is off jaunting around Italy looking for haunted... What did I say last time? A haunted dentist or something?
Haunted dentist. She's trying to find a supposed vampire jeweler.
Jeweler.
Oh yeah, vampire jeweler in Venice.
I'm gonna have to see, because I think she's still gonna miss another episode or two after this. I'm gonna have to see if I can get it wrong 2 separate times in more interesting ways. But because Allyson with an I is gone, we have a special guest here today to join us for today's discussion, and it's an old favorite. It's Dr. Katie.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you.
Happy you're here too, and I'm glad that we're... The last time we met, we were discussing Woman of the Hour, which was such a heavy movie based on very real events. I want to say it's one of the most sober discussions that we've ever had on the podcast, just by necessity. We got a lot of people love that episode too, but I'm glad that we're doing something today that's a little less serious, I guess.
For sure.
Still a movie that has some very dark content.
Yeah, a little heavy at times.
Yeah, but nothing like real world kind of energy. Today we are discussing Don't Listen. Don't Listen, or Voces, meaning voices in Spanish, is a 2020 Spanish film. It's about the supernatural misfortunes that befall a married couple and their young son as they attempt to fix up and flip a massive old home in the Spanish countryside. The couple, Daniel and Sarah, become alarmed when their son Eric starts hearing malevolent voices and making creepy drawings. Mysterious events begin to occur around the house, ranging from an infestation of flies to the gruesome death of a psychologist Daniel and Sarah hire to help Eric. The family ends up calling upon a famous parapsychologist named Herman to discover the truth behind their seemingly haunted house. This was a Wheel of Death pick, and we got excited about the title alone last week. And today's going to be a weird discussion because... I mean, in the first half hour, I think, of this movie? I didn't check the timestamp, but it's early. Something shocking happens. And we're going to be talking around that to preserve our regular spoiler room break. But we're going to do our best.
I thought it was interesting how it jumped in right off the bat. Like we're hit with the scenario, the situation, like right at the top of the movie. It starts with this therapist talking to this child who's hearing voices. So it sets it up from the jump. There's no like lead in where the child starts hearing the voices and then isn't sure what's happening and then is talking to the parents. Like we're diving in mid issue.
And then like thrown immediately into a gruesome surprise, which is the therapist is driving away from the house and crashes her car into a tree and impales like her face through the eye on a huge pointy branch.
It was through the cheek.
Through the cheek. Yeah. I mean, it's gruesome through the head one way or another.
Horrifying. Talk about a gore image.
I mean, that was a fantastic practical effect.
It was. Yeah.
That was beautiful. From a gore perspective.
I was thinking about it
was so well done and so effective and shocking.
Yeah, I was thinking about the technical execution of that like as soon as I saw it. And yeah, it is a very impressive practical effect. And it's intercut with the shots of this kid drawing the little crayon drawing of that happening like as it happens, it was fun. It was a cool sequence, good gimmick.
The most horrifying part of that image though was the fact that she was still alive for a little bit and her labored breathing with the tree limb through her cheek. Like that is what like haunts me from that. It's so disturbing.
Yeah, it was gnarly. And I mean, it's the first of many shocking twists, shocking moments that this movie throws your way. You know, as we referenced, there's one early spoiler, but I mean, there's a lot of other very shocking shit that happens after that.
Yeah, I don't know about either of you, but I generally pride myself in kind of being able to figure out where a film is going to go. And the big twists, I didn't predict any of them. And that really surprised me. Mm-hmm. When they happened, they were very sudden. And yeah, it was kind of shocking.
Yeah, I mean, I think you didn't predict them because some of them come completely out of left field. Like, some of them don't make that much sense to me. And this is where we're going to be talking around things that we'll get to later. I'm thinking of one in particular, but it might be best to table that for right now because it's impossible to say anything about it.
Yeah. So there's something set up early in the film that we know is an important element to these voices and what they're communicating. But this particular element, I feel like it's set up so early in the film that by the time this twist associated with it happens, I had forgotten.
Yes.
Almost. Mm-hmm. I kept waiting for this element to be revealed or to find out, you know, the secret behind this element.
Yeah.
And what it was going to reveal to us. And by the time it actually did, I had almost forgotten about it. And so when it finally becomes relevant and you learn what this element was going to tell us, I was floored. I was absolutely floored.
Yeah, it's interesting because I liked that element a lot, and I thought it was going to be sort of a recurring gimmick. And then and like you said, it faded into the back of my mind so that I forgot about it entirely, and then it came back at the last minute in like a very crucial way.
With a vengeance.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah. We'll say more about that in the spoiler room, of course. But I had a similar experience with that.
But also, I feel like when you read the synopsis without, you know, the spoilers or whatever, the twists that happen, it sounds like a very conventional horror movie. You would think like, oh, this is a movie I've seen a million times. There's a young family with a child. They're hearing voices in this house. They call in, right, an expert in the supernatural to help them understand this. Like these are things we've seen a million times, but I think this does it in a way that there were still so many surprises and some unexplored territory, I felt.
Yeah, it managed to be in a lot of ways. It honored that traditional haunted house story while still bringing in things that it went places I didn't expect it to go, and I thought kind of put a little bit of energy into a genre that's usually just rehashing the same basic story and the same basic events.
Yeah, totally.
See, I guess I felt a little differently. There were a lot of elements that seemed kind of reused to me. I mean, one thing that I'm thinking of is just the robot kind of like toddling around the kids' room. The robot coming on in the middle of the night for no reason. Not only have we seen toys like mysteriously fire up because there's paranormal activity going on many times in movies before, but I even feel like I've seen this specific robot in a movie before.
It still got me though. Like,
yeah,
I still had a couple of good jump scares with the robot.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, and I think I kind of like that because, I mean, yeah, you're talking about traditional sort of haunted house events coming into this story, but I like the blend of things. I like bringing in those familiar elements that you're like, oh, I've seen that before and it's spooky, because I mean, that's something that'll universally freak anybody out, is a toy just randomly coming on. I've had that happen to me and it scared the absolute shit out of me. So
I think it's something that would absolutely scare the shit out of me if it happened to me in real life. Definitely. but I never need to see it happen in a movie ever again.
Can I tell you about like the most memorable time it happened to me?
Of course.
So my younger sister, when she was little, there was this doll called Amazing Allie. When
I feel like I remember that.
Yeah, she was young. She had like chips in her, so like you could, and accessories, and you could attach chips in her, and you'd interact with her. You could play games with her. There were certain things that she could recognize you saying, and then she would respond in kind. And she was kept, except I think the version that she actually had was Amazing Allyson, which is, and it was like spelled very close to my name. It had a Y, but then instead of an O at the end, it had an E. Anyways, she had this doll. It was creepy in and of itself, but she kept it in a bin in my room. And this was after she had already moved out. We didn't share a room anymore, but my room was bigger, so her toys were still in my room. And it was in my closet. And one night, I just hear, "Hi, I'm Allison. Do you want to be my friend?"
Nope.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, in the bin, in the closet, no.
Yeah, that's a big no for me, Doc. Well, at first when you said there were chips in it, I was envisioning a doll with like potato chips inside it. And I
That's
was
my
like,
kind of doll.
I need this
Yeah.
doll. Exactly.
Where's the potato chip doll?
I do want to be your friend. No, I had a freaky, not toy experience. I told you about this, Allison. I had a freaky experience with, I don't know, it's an app that's kind of a toy.
Yeah.
I have this app on my phone called GhostTube, and it supposedly interprets like magnetic and other sorts of readings and turns that, that ghosts can emit, and turns it into speech. I have not used this thing in forever. And I was walking, it was late at night. I was walking around my living room. My phone's in my back pocket. And all of a sudden I hear, "I want to talk."
Oh, no.
Oh.
Nope. Nope. I don't know how the app got activated, selected,
Yeah.
whatever. It was in my pocket.
You butt dialed some ghosts.
I butt dialed a ghost.
And it wanted to talk.
Yes, it did.
It was like, "I've
Skip.
picked up the phone. Where are you?"
The only thing it's ever said before that was Benjamin.
Oh, I remember. Oh, that was so
It's
weird.
Benjamin a couple times, but this was a full sentence. "I want to talk."
And I'm gathering that you were super rude and just hung up on it.
I did.
Wow.
I did not want to talk.
Wow.
The appropriate response.
That's an interesting jumping off point because I'm curious, as our ghost hunters, I mean, I've gone on ghost hunts with Allison. I'm not enough of a believer, I think. And I've also been on some really shitty ghost hunts, I think.
Yeah, the ghost hunt you went on was very disappointing, and I feel like I've never managed to get you on a good ghost tour either.
Yeah. So yeah, as our ghost experts, what did you think of the ghost hunting content in this movie? Because it is a good chunk of the movie that they're, looking for EVP and putting on the thermodynamic camera and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that felt pretty legit to me.
Yeah, they were using what I would consider
State of the art.
not
Standard,
well. The thermal camera was really good for sure. But stuff that I think the evidence is kind of a little harder to just totally dismiss.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you capture anomalies on thermal cameras, and there's
Like when you see a whole ass person that's not there,
Right.
as they do in this movie.
right. It could also be your reflection. Be super careful about that. Freaked myself out once on a ghost hunt when I saw my reflection in the thermal camera. It's fine. But yeah, EVPs are the thing that freak me out more than anything else. That's the evidence that genuinely really, really creeps me out.
The audio.
Yeah.
For people who aren't familiar with EVPs,
Yeah.
it's
Electronic voice phenomena.
Yeah.
And this is when you take a little clip of audio of me saying "don't listen," and then you slow it down and distort it and flip it and isolate certain ranges, and then it's me saying "I want to talk."
Yes.
Well, yeah. If if we're all recording right now, theoretically, you could capture a voice of something that wasn't here and be like,
I'm
trap. Right. In case I would move out of the house immediately. Actually, no, I would try to befriend it. What am I talking about? But yeah, EVPs, it's vocal things. Sometimes it's vocal sounds. It's a lot of the times it's words that are captured when there was nobody there with that voice or with that sound, or sometimes even in that room to make that sound. And it's believed that it's one way that spirits can communicate or be heard. And I've heard some pretty freaky EVPs in my day. So
I'm trying to remember what the EVP is that's crucial to this movie, or if we can even talk about it right now.
I don't think we can talk about it yet.
Okay, all right, yeah, we'll not go there then. But it sounds like the ghost hunting stuff passed the smell test.
Yeah,
but I think we can safely say that some of the voices, the EVPs that people are hearing, are of loved ones, of deceased loved ones. Voices that they cannot possibly be hearing.
I do want to say, like, the basic kind of just setup for this reminded me a little bit of Haunting of Hill House. Just like this, you got these two parents who are used to going into old mansions and, renovating it and selling it. And this just happened to be one that turned out to be more complicated than they expected it to be, and starts negatively impacting the family. And obviously it's not like Hill House in most ways, but that basic setup was like, oh yeah, very Haunting of Hill House.
It's a real estate thriller, which is a classic Amon genre.
But I've heard that of like true ghost stories throughout the years. That's a common way of like triggering something in your house, is like if it's an old house that happens to be haunted, when you start renovating, it can stir things up.
Yeah, they say one of like the reasons behind that, a possible explanation, is that they were used to how it was, and then they get upset when all of a sudden it changes. Sometimes it's, for those who believe in ghosts, they don't always realize that they're dead. And when their surroundings suddenly start to change without their permission and their knowledge, it can make them very upset. I mean, think about it. Think about, you're dead. You don't know it. You're still living in your house. And all of a sudden, your kitchen's demolished and new stuff is going in. I'd be pissed too.
I have nothing to offer on that topic.
It's something I've thought about a lot.
One thing I did really like about this movie, I was a bit mixed on this overall, but one thing I did really like, there's some pretty solid performances in this, especially the dad, Daniel, is played by Rodolfo Sancho is the actor's name. All the actors in this movie I was looking them up, and they're pretty much only in Spanish language films, so these are not probably folks that you've seen in any American or English language films for the most part. He killed it though.
Yeah.
Like intense performance, because his character goes through a lot of emotional shit.
Gosh, yeah.
Man, he communicates it very well.
Very grounded performances at an acting tier that, I don't know if the story itself is Oscar worthy, but an acting tier that could be in an Oscar winning film. I really loved, is it Herman?
Herman, yeah.
Yeah, I loved the actor who played him. Ramon Barea. He was just so... He was a really comforting presence.
Good screen presence,
actually, for me.
I thought the child was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's hard to sometimes find really good child actors. They have like their very like child acting stick, but he felt very real.
Yeah, and his fear acting was really convincing. I believed it.
Yeah, it's actually a solid cast all around. Like everybody comes off like a real person for the most part, and it's a small cast too. I mean, there's like probably 6 characters or something like that, like 6 speaking roles, and everybody like does a pretty decent job. So I was impressed with that.
Agreed.
Did you guys find this spooky? Did it scare you? I mean, I guess you said, Allison, that like some jump scares got you, right?
I think there was a lot of stuff that actually scared me more than I was expecting it to. It was stressing me out in like a good way, in a really satisfying way.
Oh yeah, I was very, very spooked out. Especially, there's a scene, I think it's the mother. She's in the child's room and she's looking under the bed and she sees feet on the other side. So under the bed, something in the room stuff always freaks me out, right?
Decayed, decrepit feet.
Yes.
But she sees these clearly ghostly feet on the other side. And then she looks above the bed and nothing is there. And then she looks back again and the thing gets on the bed. And it was just so anxiety inducing for me because, like, if I were in that position, I feel like I would be both wanting to run for my life, but also paralyzed with fear. Because when you can't see what's tormenting you, like, you know it's there, but you can't see what's tormenting you, that is the most stressful type of horror to me.
Similar to that was one of the scenes with the thermal camera, and Herman was in there trying to capture sounds and voices, and on the thermal camera his daughter just sees this figure standing behind him, and I am like, no, absolutely not, get out of there. And of course he's like an investigator, so even though, you know, somebody's like, you should leave right now, he's like, I'm gonna stick around for this. And there's just this figure that you can't actually see, but you can see on the thermal camera, and it's like looming behind him, and I would die.
Yep. Oh, and another severely anxiety-inducing scene for me was Herman is investigating a portion of the house with a flashlight.
Oh, God.
And the flashlight, the battery's dying, and so the flashlight keeps going in and out and in and out, and in some of these flashes, you see a ghostly figure, and then it's gone in the next flash, and eventually the flashlight goes out for a bit. That's a whole bucket of nope for me.
It really played with like fear of the unseen so much, which is, I think, the inherent fear of ghosts is fear of the unseen and fear of the intangible.
Yes, because when you can't see the force or the entity that is tormenting you or that you're fighting against, or, you know, when your adversary is invisible, what do you do? What do you possibly do? No. You don't know what's coming next. If you're going to get touched, hit, bit, I don't know. But exactly, you don't know, and it's terrifying.
So, I mean, that's why paranormal movies are some of the scariest horror to me. You know, I've talked about Paranormal Activity a million times on this podcast and how it scared the shit out of me and ruined my life for a year. That's a good genre for me. I love body horror, but body horror doesn't necessarily scare me. I just like all the gloopy shit. Yeah. Paranormal is usually what gets under my skin the most. And here's where I'm going to be a wet blanket. This didn't get under my skin that much. And I think it was, the combination of, you know, as I mentioned before, there were a lot of elements to me that felt very like repetitive and kind of lifted from other horror movies, whether, you know, the looking under the bed gag is something I feel even I've seen in a lot of stuff, or, you know, the camera and there's actually somebody behind you. Felt reused to me. And then it was combined with, there are a few shocking moments where I feel like it's just trying to shock for reasons that weren't really there for me. And so like that kind of combination of those two things really wore me down. I don't want to say offended me, but it irritated me. It ground me down a little bit. Yeah. And I mean, I think this is in general like a pretty well staged movie, pretty well crafted, pretty well put together. And there is some stuff in it that does feel original and fun. Like we talked about the opening scene with the therapist. I thought that worked really, really well. And so it was sort of like a frustrating mishmash to me because there was some stuff that felt original and worked like gangbusters, but then it was paired with stuff that felt kind of derivative and stuff that felt like just pure shock value. And I like shock value, but usually in a movie that has a bit of a different tone from this. This feels very serious. It feels very somber, which is funny because at the beginning of this we said we're not talking about a somber movie this time.
Right.
But I mean, compared to Woman of the Hour, like everything seems fun.
Right.
But I mean, it's a heavy movie. Like there's some heavy shit going on in it. Yeah.
I agree with you. I think it looked really good. I think the cinematography was at a level that I'm not accustomed to with horror movies. Yeah, it looked really beautiful.
Ooh, I will say one thing. I loved the parallelism between the opening shot and the ending shot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that because they're of the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Basically.
Which we will not say what it is. But
right. Variations on a theme.
Yeah.
Yes. Slight difference, very important difference.
Yeah.
But I thought that was very satisfying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a good bookend.
All right. Well, is there anything else we want to talk about before we go down to? I mean, we're always going down to the spoiler basement, but I think we're going there again. And even that's a spoiler. But I mean,
it is. Yeah.
But I mean,
or we could say that.
Are you really that shocked that there's bad things going on in the basement of the house? Audience. I'm addressing the audience. No. Well, before we go down to the spoiler basement for the umpteen bazillionth time, it's time to review it. Katie, Dr. Katie, you're our guest today, so we'll let you go first. View it, cue it, or screw it.
I would say view it. It took me a while to warm up to the movie, I think. But once it really got going with some good twists and unexpected turns, it got me. It got me in the end, and I'll give it a view it.
Pick your next victim.
Allyson.
I have to give it a view it too. I actually want to go back and rewatch it. Because it's a Spanish language film and we were watching with the, original language and subtitles, there's so much that I feel like I missed that I want to go back and try to pick back up on, because I feel like that I always struggle a little bit when we watch foreign language films because there's a lot that I miss because I can't always be watching everything because I'm so busy trying to catch the dialogue. And this is one of those movies that I actually want to go back and maybe rewatch again because I really liked it. It really did spook me. It unnerved me. It surprised me. It went places I wasn't expecting it to go. I mean, at one point, I think my jaw literally fell open and I just sat there like that for 30 seconds. Just what did I just watch? And I want to see if I can find more kind of hints at the twists that come. I really want to see if those are there and if I can pick up on them. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. So it's a view it for me. Patrick.
I'm so torn. This movie kind of pissed me off. They're I would say 3 of the big moments that we're about to talk about in the spoiler room actively pissed me off. And we're going to get into how and why and what they were. But there's also craft there, as we talked about. There's filmmaking craft. There's acting craft. No, I'm sorry, guys. I can't be merciful today. I was going to try and go for a low cue. I got to say, screw it. This movie just upset me. It upset me.
Well, I can't wait to get into that.
Yeah. We're going to get into it in just a minute. But before we go down to the spoiler basement, I will encourage you, as always, to check out our website, everyhorrormovieonnetflix.com, where you can find every episode that we've ever done, along with our merch store, where you can get t-shirts and coffee cups and other goodies with Every Horror Movie on Netflix art that I designed on them. We'd also love to connect with you on social media.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube at AmonCast, EHMONcast, and on TikTok at Amon Podcast. And you can also join our Discord community. There's a link for it in the show notes where you can talk, chat with community members about the various films that we've been watching and all of the other fun horror stuff that we've been consuming. Dr. Katie is on there with us. And how do you feel about the Discord community now that we have you here, Katie?
I love the Discord community. It's always fun to hear what people have to say.
And you'd probably love to talk to people about Don't Listen on there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
A glowing review. Join our Discord community.
And speaking of glowing reviews, we'd love you to leave us one on your podcast provider of choice. Look at that fucking segue.
That was beautiful.
That was
well done, sir.
I have nothing more to say, actually. I was going to expand on that, but I'm just going to leave it at that one sweet sentence. Go leave us a fucking review. All right, we are headed down to the spoiler basement to spoil everything about Don't Listen. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. We've gone down to the spoiler basement, and we are here to spoil everything about Don't Listen. And boy, is there a lot to spoil.
Yeah.
Does anybody want to get off our chest the big early spoiler that we've been dancing around?
Never saw it coming.
That was a shock.
Yes.
The kid dies pretty early on in the film. And it's a movie that feels like it's, as it's set up, it's revolving around him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be like haunted, possessed kid.
Yeah,
movie.
spooky kid movie.
Mm-hmm.
Him trying to convince his parents that this is happening, and then they, deal with it as a family. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked.
Yes.
I was in disbelief.
I was shocked too. Yeah. And I was also shocked that, because I expected, okay, the kid's got to fucking come back one way or another, even if it's like, as sort of like a spirit guiding them or something. But no, he's like gone. Drowns in the pool.
Yeah.
Which is the first shot of the movie that Dr. Katie referenced earlier.
It's just the pool with his red ball in it.
Yes.
At the very beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
we keep coming back to that pool.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's not like it was just an accident, presumably, at this point in the film. He was, sort of deceived or manipulated by the spirit into falling in the pool.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just slip and fall or something. There's, of course, a supernatural thing going on behind it.
Yeah, was that one of the twists that pissed you off, Patrick?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Because that was the first one, and it was genuinely shocking. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, where do we go from here? But it is lurid, and the twists that came after that were also very lurid. And so I think it was like the compounding effect of just like trying to throw like really shocking, borderline trashy moments at me. So I think I might have reacted that way to the kid dying if it had come later, but because it was the first one, I was like, okay, that's a weird, wild kind of swing. Like, let's see what you do with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was like, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I thought the story was going to be. And where do you go?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And understandably so, like the parents, is there any other reaction but to be in unbelievable deep grief when that happens to the mom? What's her name? Sarah?
Mm-hmm. She
can't even be in the house anymore, which, if I were in that position, I think I would feel the same way. And so she leaves, and Daniel, the father, he stays behind because he's like, I've got to finish this job so we can sell the house. But he's also trying to figure some stuff out behind what happened with his kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which leads him to bring Herman in. Daniel goes to Herman's book signing and just like starts interrogating him in the middle of the line with like people waiting behind him to get their books signed.
That was bonkers.
Yeah. And he's like, you have to help me. It's like, could this have been an email?
Yeah, I think Herman literally is like, oh, you can email me.
Yeah.
My email's in the book.
Yeah. You have to help me. You have to help me now. You don't look crazy at all in this moment.
No. But the reason why he goes is because he gets an EVP that sounds like his son's voice.
Yeah.
And understandably, that's really fucked with Daniel.
So they come to the house, they start doing the ghost hunting stuff that we were talking about before. I found that a dull section of the movie, but also I'm not, like, that's not my thing also.
I loved it.
So yeah, Herman comes out with his daughter. I can't remember her name.
Ruth,
thank you. And they have some of their own baggage around death and ghosts that comes to light and plays a part in the haunting, and the haunting can manipulate them because of their own experiences with death.
Because Ruth is a skeptic at the beginning of the movie.
Oh yeah,
she's like
very
an
much so.
audio equipment expert and helping her dad out basically. And her dad obviously is a believer and lost his wife, her mother, to what was the cause of death?
She died by suicide.
Oh, okay, yeah. So they've got that trauma in their past, and the entity, whatever, starts to use that to mess with Herman.
Yeah.
Which, and here's a good example of what I thought was a pretty effective scene, is when the ghost sort of creating this illusion of Herman's dead wife, like tricks him into like starting to slit his own wrist at the kitchen table. That was, that worked for me. That was a good, like, kind of vacillating between the essentially hallucination that he's seeing and what was happening in real life.
Yeah, I thought that was definitely one of like the unique moments. I haven't really seen that portrayed before in like a haunted house movie where the ghost is like manipulating someone through hallucination to harm themselves. And it was really freaky.
And I forget what he thought he was doing in the hallucination. Do you guys remember?
Oh, he thought she had picked up the knife and had started to do it. And he was like, why are you doing this? And she's like, I want you to join me.
Right. Yeah. And then it turns out he's just hacking away at himself in real life. Ruth catches him in time. Nothing super serious happens, but it's a good freaky moment. And I think also around that point, the most horrifying visual in the movie occurs, which is a dead tree full of dead cats hanging from like nooses, basically.
I forgot about that.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
That was very upsetting.
Talk about something I have not seen before.
We're a pro cat cast here.
Yes.
And so very sad for us.
Yeah. And what's I think they explained some historical context
It's a
behind that
witch's
too.
tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a warning.
Yeah. Yeah, that was horrifying. And then shortly after that, Sarah returns, and this is where it started to piss me off. I was like, the mom, Sarah, comes back, and she comes back because she's gotten this phone call from what sounds like, again, is Eric, the little boy, which it couldn't be because he's dead. But of course, you're the mom, you're going to come back. And very, very shortly after she returns, she hangs herself in the middle of like an exchange between, Daniel and Herman and Ruth, I think, are talking in the living room or something. And Sarah just crashes through the window, having jumped off the top floor of the house and hung herself.
It reminded me of The Omen when his nanny at the beginning of the movie just throws herself off at his birthday party.
What? I have not seen that movie.
Oh, it's a doozy.
It goes hard. It holds up. It
does, yeah.
Yeah.
It still freaks me out. I'm not gonna lie.
Adding that one to the list.
Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Come on. But yeah, I don't know. This was the part where it's starting to feel a little much to me. It's like, we've given you the shocking death of the child. Fine. Now here's the shocking death of the mother. And also I was very like, did this woman just have like a job on a TV show or something? Like they only have her for a couple days on set? Because like, it's almost to a degree, why is the mother character even there? Like she disappears for so much of the movie, then comes back for like 2 minutes and then dies immediately. It was very, just frustrating to me. I felt very like played by it, I guess.
It shocked me. But I thought it worked.
It shocked me, absolutely. I'm not gonna say it didn't shock me. I just was not pleased with it for doing so, I guess.
It was definitely a jump scare for sure.
Oh yeah.
But also they kind of telegraph that something like that is going to happen a little bit earlier on when Herman first arrives at the house. He keeps staring at that window that has the rope and the pulley outside of it which is what she ultimately uses to hang herself.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
He kept looking at it. I'm like, they're going to do something with that. But again, I like filed that away in the back of my head and kind of forgot about it. So then when she did come flying down and crashing through the window, I was like, that's where it is. That's how it comes back.
Good catch. I didn't notice that either.
But it ratchets up the threat level.
Yes. Yeah.
And the emotional level for Daniel, because now he's not only lost his son, he's just lost his wife.
Yeah.
That this entity is taken from him.
Yes. Because with the death of Eric, you're like, it could be anything. It could be an accident. But this one then makes it feel like, oh, there is something that is trying to get rid of these people.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. And then we start to realize the cats in the tree, which now that I remember it, I'll never get that image out of my head.
Sorry for reminding you of it.
Well, that's when it started to really get spooky for me, was the cats in the tree. But then when we learn that historically that's a warning having to do with witches, and they realize that this house historically used to be a courthouse during the Spanish Inquisition. And I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And then it was like, of course I wasn't expecting that. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition.
What's the reference?
Monty Python.
Oh, very, very good. Very good.
But I thought that was a nice, like in some ways it felt a little cliche, but at the same time I was like, oh, well, this is a Spanish movie that would have been really historically and culturally relevant for them there.
Right. It's like an American horror film bringing in the history of the Salem witch trials.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought that was an interesting historical and supernatural connection.
Mm-hmm. Also, I had no idea that the Spanish Inquisition had anything to do with witches.
Maybe it didn't.
Maybe it didn't. I'm going to have to look into this. Coming back to you next horror catch-up, I'll give you a history of the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, maybe they thought that the women who wouldn't convert or something were
quite possible. Sense. Yeah.
Were
ancient torture chamber in the basement also felt just pulling out of the big grab bag of horror tropes to me. And I mean, like, sure, Spanish Inquisition, maybe haven't seen that specifically before, but I'm sick of Salem witch trial movies. And this was obviously, as you guys just said, sort of a cultural analog to that for Spain. That didn't super offend me. It's fine, whatever, I've seen it before. What I'm tired of seeing is witches who have been tried in witch trials and now are just like all-purpose, like evil crones trying to fuck with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Centuries later.
That was one of the sticky points for me too.
Yeah, I didn't catch it at first, but then I read a review on Wikipedia that a reviewer mentioned that, like, oh yeah, she's just evil for the sake of being evil, and I was like, yeah, there was no motivation or anything behind that entity.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of the frustrations that we had with Autopsy of Jane Doe, where it's like this old witch spirit who just seeks vengeance and not release, not help. And so it just kind of gives into the, I don't know, the stereotypes of witches as just being like these evil forces who just want to destroy things.
Right. And it's sort of sticky because there's the, like the concept of like a Halloween witch or a horror movie witch, which is very cartoonish and sort of generically evil. But and that sort of character, I don't have a problem with whatever its motivation is or how genuinely 100% evil or not it is. It's when movies tap into the actual history behind these things, which was fucked, which was, just purely spectacle to humiliate and torture people who had done absolutely nothing. And that's where it bothers me, is when it gets tied into an actual historical background.
Yeah, and it's not like the ghost of the witch gets redemption or help. They
Right.
just are evil for the sake of being evil.
Right.
Yeah, I totally understand that. I get that frustration.
Give me Agatha Harkness.
Yeah.
No, that's a good witch story. But yeah, they figure out that there's this torture chamber in the basement. They find a gibbet in the basement, which is, one of those human-shaped cages with an absolutely desiccated corpse in it that's had its mouth fucked up, which we see in a flashback was a pair of anguish, which...
That's what that's called. Yeah.
Ugh.
Talk about something I don't think I've seen in a movie before. If you know what a pair of anguish is, you know what a pair of anguish is. If you don't, maybe just keep it that way.
Yeah.
Unless you're planning to watch Don't Listen, and then you'll find out.
Yeah, a pair of anguish is basically a speculum for your face.
God.
So accurate, truly.
Horrifying. Yeah, there's the scene because there's like flashbacks. So like Herman is like kind of seeing these flashbacks of what happened to this woman, and she's on the rack, right? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're torturing her on the rack, and then that's when they get what is that called again?
Pair of anguish.
The pair of
anguish. Yeah, because it starts like
is it supposed to be like
shaped,
okay,
and then they open it once
Yeah.
it's in your mouth.
It's brutal. It's fucking brutal. I mean, obviously that's what humans did to each other back then, but man, I don't know. Maybe if that happened to me, I too would just be an angry spirit out for revenge.
Well, they decide to try and light it on fire. The corpse.
That's the only way to get rid of a witch.
Is that like canon, or is that something unique to this movie?
She's
I don't
a witch.
feel like
burn her.
I think it's true to some lore.
Okay.
It's not like
even
universal.
with a corpse. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, they're trying to set it on fire, and the witch really like sinks her claws into everyone in this moment, and just about pulls off not getting lit on fire.
I actually really loved this moment, this like sequence, the kind of seeing the three remaining characters, so Herman, Ruth, and Daniel, all have their moment of being antagonized by the spirit of the witch, and it cutting off right before you know how it turns out. I loved that.
It was good tension. I mean, she's got Daniel covering himself in gasoline, about to light himself on fire to be with his family, who he's seeing visions of now that the witch is showing him. She's got Ruth stabs Herman. I forget how she gets him to do that exactly. It looks like it's curtains for, at the very least, Daniel. I was like, they're seriously about to kill Daniel too, and then they didn't. And then we'll talk about that more in a second.
I thought Herman was going to get got.
Yeah.
I was convinced throughout the whole movie that he was going to get it. And I was really sad about that idea because I really liked him.
Yeah. Well, she stabs him in the gut. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, he's had his arm freaking sliced, and then he gets stabbed in the gut. And honestly, there was a point where he was in the torture basement where I thought like it was goners for him too, because his light had totally gone out and the witch had basically cornered him.
But at the last moment, Herman manages to squeeze off a lucky shot and hit the corpse, which is covered in gasoline, causing it to spark and ignite, saving the three of them for that moment.
Kind of.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because then we go to, in the aftermath of all this, Daniel going to Eric's room and sorting through the kids' drawings for the first time in a while. And this is what Dr. Katie was referencing earlier about the element that came in early in the film and then came back around at the end.
Yeah, so this is what really got me was early on in the film, we're introduced to this idea that the voices are telling Eric to draw things, and they are foreshadowing things that are violent things that are about to happen. We see it with the tree branch that impales the therapist. I can't remember what else in that moment. But on the night that he drowns in the pool, we see Eric wake up because of the voices. We see him drawing something furiously, but we don't know what it is. We don't see what it is. And then he dies in the pool. And so I kept waiting. Like, I want to see what was on that piece of paper. I want to see what he drew, because that's the key to how he died. But then by the time we get to the end, I have forgotten about it. But then his dad is sitting in the room. He's looking at the wall, and he starts to realize that these drawings of his sons are all these really violent images, but they're violent images that have come to pass. It's the tree branch. It's, the cat. The tree full of cats, his mother's ankle bleeding, which we see when she hangs herself. And then he finds the drawing that reveals, we don't see it yet, but he finds the drawing that reveals how Eric died that night. And it sends him on a spiral, which I never saw coming. Never saw coming.
Yeah, because the revelation is that Daniel actually drowned Eric.
Yeah.
Pushed him in the pool, held him under the water until he died. Of course, presumably under the influence of the witch.
Yeah.
Yes. And it had actually, like, the voices that Eric had been hearing, some of them were his dad's own voices over the walkie-talkie, which we thought early on that a ghost was mimicking Daniel, and it turned out it was just a probably possessed Daniel.
Yeah, may have been. But he was possessed in that moment, because another element that we haven't discussed yet is the flies. So there's these flies that are marking the entry to the basement, this infestation of flies that Daniel cannot get rid of with insecticides. And these flies are also kind of an agent of this entity. There's a fly that goes into the therapist's ear that is one of the things that causes her to crash her car. We see then when we discover that Daniel was the one who drowned his son, we see a fly go into his ear while he's sleeping. Then he commits this atrocious act. Then he goes back into the bed, and you see the fly come out of his ear. Which I thought that was a very unsettling visual element. The use of the flies.
Yeah.
Because bugs are gross.
Yeah, that's talk about touching on great fears. I'm terrified of a bug crawling in my ear. Like, anytime I feel like a little something off in the inside of my ear, I am, like, genuinely terrified it's a bug.
Yeah, and these bugs make you do stuff. They crawl in your ear and influence your behavior. I mean, that's terrifying. I feel like the idea that he wasn't in control of himself and he committed this atrocious act.
Is it Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or something where they have translation devices where they just, like, have a worm that goes in their ear and translates for them?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
It's from something. I can't think of what it is. Complete tangent, but just reminded me of that. So Daniel realizes that he was, in fact, his son's killer, and then he goes down to the pool, blows his head off with a rifle, falls into the pool, and our final shot is him floating in the same pool that the movie started with.
Again, with, like, a red spot in the pool.
Like the red ball.
The opening shot's the red ball, and the closing shot, it's the blood emanating out from Daniel. But his son Eric had also drawn a picture of his dad blowing his head off, which I think Herman finds up in the boys' room. Yeah, like as he hears the gunshot. Yeah.
So it was all laid out. It was all in the grand plan.
Am I remembering that correctly?
I believe so.
Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, this was another one of the parts that I was like, why are we going here right now? Like, it's bad enough that the kid died. It just felt like shock for the shock's sake, for the sake of two, not one, but two, just like sick, lurid twists. It's like, just let it be over and get us out of here. Like, I don't need this added, like, level of the dad having killed his own kid and then committing suicide. It felt like wallowing in just unpleasantness for no actual reason to me. How did you two react to this turn of events?
I was absolutely, like, shook and horrified that it was the dad. And also my heart absolutely broke for him. Like having that realization that he had done that under the influence of this entity. But the fact that they actually kind of, they showed flashbacks of him actually taking his son outside and committing this act, that was really disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually don't really know how I feel about that ending. I have mixed feelings around it because on one hand, it was an ending that to me made sense given the setup of the story. And I also don't know if there is an ending where he doesn't die that makes sense.
Or Daniel doesn't die?
Yeah.
Why? So
much loss and grief and horror. Like, how can he keep going after that, I wonder? And like, where does the story wrap up? And I don't know. Not that I'm like, that's what people should do if your family dies. That's not how I feel. But also, at the same time, it's just the absolute trauma of that and the horror. I don't know if it was necessary that in the story he was the one who killed his child, but it also makes sense for the story and how that haunting worked and how that haunting possessed people and manipulated people.
Right, but like the original explanation made sense, or what we all thought the explanation was, because obviously this witch, ghost, whatever, has manipulated people to do various things. Like, it made perfect sense that she had Eric walk down to the pool on his own and jump in the water. I don't know, it just felt unnecessary to me. And it's kind of like how I feel about the ending of Smile, which is a movie I mostly like. And then at the end, it's like, oh my fucking God, just give this character a win. She's been traumatized all movie, and I don't need that level of bleakness. It's like, it's this, I expect it like directed by Lars von Trier or something at the end. It's a lot.
Yeah, I get that. Like I said, I don't fully know how to feel about it.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how else to end it other than like, he goes off with Herman and Ruth to do more ghost hunting. Yay, new paranormal investigation buddies.
Or like, what if Herman and Daniel had like a beautiful bonding moment about like how you move forward after loss. Like, give me the Mike Flanagan ending.
I mean, the Mike Flanagan ending is always preferable.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say I want the Mike Flanagan ending to every movie.
Because I was, satisfied up to that point with the explanation that the voices, like you said, Patrick, the voices, the entity had compelled Eric to go down to the pool. And that's how that happened. And then once the entity had been defeated at the end, I thought, okay, cool. We have a satisfying conclusion. The entity's been defeated. I thought Herman and his daughter were going to go off and do their thing. Daniel was going to deal with his grief and figure out how to move on. But yeah, that final hit was just brutal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Worth mentioning, it's not actually technically the last scene in the movie. There's also a very brief mid-credit scene of Herman recuperating in the hospital and watching a video with Ruth of an exorcism that Herman had been invited to go to. I don't think there's any dialogue, and I did not understand why it was here.
I thought it was pointless. I got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
To me, it just set up a sequel with Herman and Ruth.
Right, but it just felt like sort of the most mundane, like sort of cursory way to do that. Like, maybe give me something that felt a little more exciting instead of just them like watching a YouTube video of an exorcism.
Yeah, that they weren't a part of.
Yeah, that was very strange. Very strange.
And yeah, and I kind of had the feeling of like, I waited around for that.
Right. Yeah. At least it comes pretty early in the credits, I think. But yeah. This is the one thing that I love about Netflix is like starting something as soon as you finish another thing is that if there's going to be a mid or post credit sequence because it doesn't immediately go to like, here's an ad for fucking, Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah.
So thanks for that feature, Netflix.
But I didn't feel like that added anything.
Yeah, that was odd. That was quite odd. Well, I think that concludes our discussion of Don't Listen. Today, we don't have a movie to pick for next episode because we're going to be doing some horror catch-up next episode. I've got a few things I'm excited to talk about. I don't know about you, Allison, with a Y.
I'll figure it out.
You got a week to cram.
All right. Just like back in high school.
Until then, visit the website, everyhorrormovieonnetflix.com. Check us on the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, at AmonCast. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I forget. TikTok at Amon Podcast. And check out the link to the Discord community in our show notes. And leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice. You know, it just occurred to me that we didn't make any jokes about what Chris was saying last episode about how this is going to be our least popular episode because people are going to see the title and then they won't listen.
Well, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening to Don't Listen.
And Jesus, you suck at following directions.
Yeah, what the hell?
All right. For Every Horror Movie on Netflix, I'm Patrick.
I'm Allison with a Y.
And I'm Dr. Katie.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for not listening.